Hello and welcome everyone to this new moon in Libra, and in this video we are going over the energies and the breakdown of this new moon happening on September 25th, 2022. We're going to go over the general energies, but make sure you choose the timestamp below also to watch your sun, moon, and rising to get the breakdown of how this is going to affect you on a more personal level and what areas of your life these new beginnings are happening in. So let's get into the video. I'm Cassandra of Saffron Sage Astrology, and welcome to the channel. So this new moon in Libra is happening on September 25th at 2:54 p.m. Pacific time, and it is happening at 2 degrees of Libra. Remember, guys, a new moon is a new beginning of a 6-month cycle that will complete when the full moon happens in that same sign. So at this point, we're all having this new moon in Libra, but for each person is going to be in a different area of life based on your rising sign. So do be sure to watch the different sign breakdowns in this video. But right now we're going to go over the aspects to this new moon. The new moon at 2 degrees has an opposition to Jupiter at 3 degrees of Aries. This is the major aspect of this new moon. But we're also going to see another aspect here, and that is to Venus. Venus is the planetary ruler of Libra. Every sign of the zodiac has a planet that rules that sign. So since Venus is the ruler of Libra, we're going to look to Venus to see what's happening to it during this lunation to get more of a breakdown of the energies. And it's marked by this opposition to Neptune. There's also a trine to Pluto. Those are the 3 major aspects that we are going to talk about in this video. So the sun and the moon at 2 degrees of Libra will be opposite Jupiter. This is the main event for this new moon. This is the main energy. So we're going to talk about this one for a minute. The good news is that even in opposition to Jupiter is good. So for those of you studying astrology, an opposition are when the 2 planets are 180 degrees. They're half of the circle. They're in opposite signs, and oppositions are considered hard aspects, aka challenging ones. Usually the opponent is outside of you. So the opposition and the square are both hard aspects, but with the opposition, we can see the obstacle. However, with Jupiter, it's a little different because Jupiter is such a good planet. It's the greater benefic. And so because of this, Jupiter opposite the sun and moon here are giving us good vibes. Now, there might be some kind of challenge to overcome, but with Jupiter here, Jupiter is going to make the challenge easier to see, easier to work with, and easier to do something about, to get something out of it if we use the energy. So I would say for everyone with sun and moon in this new moon opposing Jupiter, there are going to be some new opportunities. And these new opportunities are going to fall on the Aries Libra axis of your chart. So for all of us, the general takeaway here is if there's a new opportunity, take it, especially if that opportunity involves themes related to Libra or themes related to Jupiter. Remember, these themes will show up differently for different people. If you are an artist, something related to art might come up, or teaching art. If you're not an artist, that probably isn't going to apply to you. So you have to take what resonates for these general readings and leave the rest. I do offer private readings, so you can click the link below if you want to check one of those out. So back to the sun opposite Jupiter. Other ways this can show up are opportunities for us to step into our Libra energy or our Aries energy or our Jupiter energy. What does that mean? Teaching something we know, starting to teach something we know, starting to learn something we've always wanted to learn, really embracing that Aries energy, even though it's a new moon in Libra. With Jupiter and Aries, Jupiter makes things better, and it's in the sign of Aries. So even though that new moon is bringing the Libra energy of, yes, knowing when to put other people above ourselves, knowing when to connect with others, knowing when to be diplomatic and really foster our social connections, I think of Libra, my take on Libra, it's a little bit more of the networker than many people would say, because, people with strong Libra placements, they can make the connections with people. They can nurture and foster the connections that are going to get them up the ladder of success. Libra is also good. Even though Libra can put people first, Libra is also good at making sure they get what they need. So this new moon in Libra can have us, if we are the kind of people who struggle with asking for what we need, if we're the kind of people who struggle with not making sure we get paid for our work, not making sure we get compensated for what we are doing, this new moon in Libra can help us. We can work with this energy by looking at areas of our life that are imbalanced one way or the other. Are we giving too much and not getting anything in return? Or are we asking for more than we should? And do we need to give a little bit more before we can take a little bit more? Either way, there's an emphasis on balancing the scales, and there's an emphasis on opportunities, really social opportunities at this time. This is a good time for all of us to make new friends, to, help someone, collaborate, things like that, especially with this Libra and Aries axis being hit. Now, another thing to really consider here with this new moon in Libra is with Jupiter and Aries, and I know I'm talking a lot about Aries, but it matters here because it's hard to make the right connections if we don't know what our own goals are in the first place. And Jupiter and Aries has been helping us to figure this out. And if you haven't watched my Jupiter and Aries video, go watch that video after this one, and it'll give you more on how to work with that transit. But even though Jupiter is retrograde, retrograde just means it's more dear to our heart. So our philosophy, our learning, our growth is more dear to our heart at this time. It can be internalized, but it doesn't mean we have to stop taking action. So back to this other ways this Libra, new moon in Libra, opposite Jupiter can play out are things like, again, starting something new, starting a social activity we've always wanted to do. There's a focus on going after the things we've wanted with Jupiter and Aries, and with the new moon in Libra. We might also feel like we need to stop doing more of what other people want. We might be aware of that as well. But really, to me, this new moon feels fun. It feels full of possibility. It feels full of potential new connections. And I will talk about some of the challenges here with the lack of clarity, because this is one thing I see as a challenge here with the minor aspects being a semi-square to Saturn, a semi-square to Uranus. It's like we might not be able to see where we're going long term. We might make new connections that we don't know where they're heading, or if they're, we can't always tell all the details here. So yes, make the new connections, get in the new circles, talk to the new people, let yourself do those things. And with Venus opposite Neptune, also be aware that you may not be able to see the truth or the clarity at this time. Venus opposite Neptune is important because Venus rules Libra, so it's the ruler of the new moon, and because it's one of the other main aspects, I would say, of this new moon. Venus opposite Neptune is a time where things can be really beautiful. There can be new love, new money, new things related to Venus that are lovely, things related to art that are lovely, things that are beautiful. This is like a romantic getaway, a first date, where you get a promotion and you're just like, any kind of experience that's lovely, that's beautiful to you, that you're like wowed by the experience. But with Neptune, we got to watch out with this Neptune opposition, because Neptune oppositions are when we have the most potential to be deceived by something. This does not mean everyone's going to be lied to during this new moon. It's not quite like that, but it's like a first date with someone that's like the perfect first date, but it's only perfect for that day, and we don't know the rest of the story until we know the rest of the story. We don't know if that person was lying, pretending, if they're married and they didn't tell us, or if it's really a perfect first date and they're really genuine. We have to have time to know those things. So this is the kind of thing we could all experience on some level, where something really lovely and romantic, something that matches our ideal, especially in love or money, because those are Venus ruled things. That's going to be probably an opportunity or a fun date, a fun outing, a fun social event. But the challenge is when we project that moment onto forever. So that's the thing to watch out for with this new moon, is that we don't assume that just because something is good in this moment, that it's going to be good forever and make assumptions about that. Now, it's still okay with this new moon to enjoy the moment, enjoy the beauty, enjoy the art, enjoy the date, enjoy the money that comes in, or whatever Venus type thing. Even if it's just beautifying yourself, for some people it might be something like that, especially with Venus trining Pluto. But it's not a time to assume that whatever we're feeling is good during that new moon is permanent. So if we assume that first date is permanent and then we go get married the next day, well, this is where we have the problem. When we think it's forever, we're still going to have to decide if the moment that we have during this new moon that has possibility, there's work to be done later, right? I always say even the white picket fence has to be painted sometimes. And that's the challenge with Neptune and Venus together, is that we get so in touch with the ideal of something that it takes us out of the real. So for anyone who's more susceptible of that, that's something to be aware of. And for all of us, it's just staying grounded, staying connected to the present moment. Now, with Venus in Virgo, where it can be more picky, and Neptune in Pisces, where all it wants to do is check out, for some of us, this opposition with Venus, Neptune could actually show up more as us and some kind of external obstacle. So, if you are Venus in this situation, you may be, whether you are a man or a woman, whether you have Venus strong or not, if you are Venus in this situation, you're going to be the one who's like, wait, this isn't right. Let's make it perfect. Let's make it exact. Let's get into the details. Let's plan for the future. And the Neptune person is going to be like, no, man, let's just smoke a bowl and chill out and play video games and trust that it'll all work out. Now, those are the two extremes of Venus in Virgo and Neptune in Pisces. Venus in Virgo is never satisfied. It's never perfect enough. Neptune in Pisces, never wants to really focus in. It only wants to focus out and trust and connect and help all the homeless people and have all the compassion. But when it comes to the real next steps, Neptune in Pisces can't help us. But it does put us in touch with our heart. So you can think about how these energies are playing out in your life, and do remember to take what resonates and leave the rest. I can't tell you guys this enough. So that being said, let's talk about this trine to Pluto, and then we'll get into the different signs of the zodiac. Venus in Virgo trining Pluto in Capricorn. This is a time where we may also have some kind of purging, right? Pluto is revealing things that are unseen, but it's in a trine to Venus. And whenever we have Pluto trine Venus, I always say that the spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. This is like the healer that makes it feel better to expose all your wounds, and you just feel safe and comfortable doing it and it doesn't hurt. It's like, I would say like the Novocaine, but not quite that good. And I don't even think Novocaine is that good. It just numbs. But it's like there could be a chance during this new moon for us to get more cleansed and specific and nitty gritty into the details of projects and see what we need to change. If we're trying to make positive changes, especially in diets, routines, health, things that are Venus and Virgo like, which would be like the details of an artistic project, the details of how things look, the details of our physical health, either of those two things, this trine to Pluto will help us release and purge whatever thing may not have been working, whatever is within that needs to come out. So, that could be a way of being. It could be a routine. It could be a physical property. It could be purging, like physically purging something. I'm not recommending that. I'm just saying we may find themes of this, especially with Mercury conjunct Venus. We may also be really motivated to revise a plan, to rethink our plan, but really like the steps we're taking every day to reach our goals. This would be actually a really good time because Pluto's also trining Mercury retrograde. So it's like rethinking, replanning, reassessing based on new information. For some people, truth could come to light. Now, this can be a truth that's revealed to us from an external source, or it could be truth that we just realize about the situation that was always there, but we now just have the eyes to see it. So that all being said, I still think this is a very positive new moon filled with lots of new beginnings, lots of hope, lots of positive potential. But these oppositions to Jupiter and Neptune, really, the way to work with this energy is to keep our feet on the ground and remember to just be realistic, be grounded, and be practical about those next steps that we're taking. And I think Venus and Mercury in Virgo are helping us do that, helping us remember what is realistic, what next step can we actually take from where we are, because Jupiter oppositions and Neptune oppositions, these two are the most likely to get a little ahead of themselves, right? To be the big dreamers, to want to be so connected to the dream, but have no idea how to take that next step. So I think we can do it this new moon if we are really focusing in on, the grounded reality of the situation, and if we are connecting to the right people, because there's a huge emphasis on that. So now we are going to go to the signs of the zodiac, starting with Aries. So for Aries and Aries rising, this new moon is happening in your 7th house of relationships, partnerships. This does not mean you're automatically going to get a new partner or something. Some of you will be coupled, some of you will be single, but there's a new focus on relationships. Now, some Aries and Aries rising and moon, it's going to be making the connections, work connections. I feel this for you guys more strongly. I'm not sure why. Let me see here. But, thinking about how Jupiter rules your 9th house of meaning, it's meaningful connections that you have the potential to be making at this time. And there's a focus on moving toward activities that bring your life meaning in general while we have Jupiter in your sign. And, this new moon is bringing new opportunities, new chances to meet new people or start a new cycle, a fresh cycle in relationships. Now, with Venus in your 6th house opposite Neptune in the 12th house, Venus in the 6th will bring definite focus here on your habits, your routines, how you spend your time. So this is either going to be like your efficiency level, or it's probably going to be your health, what you're eating, you're planning your meals, what supplements you're taking. If you're into that, if you're not into that, it's like, what schedule do you have at work? How efficient are you being? How much are you getting done? How productive are you? Do you have time for this new person? If you have a new person, work and relationships. Now, some of you, this will be a new cycle where both of those themes connect in some way. Like you meet someone or your partner and you are doing more work together. More things have to be done, that kind of thing. And with Venus over here ruling your 2nd house of money and your 7th house of partnerships in that 6th house, you might be investing in things that change your daily schedule. You might be either spending money on things that you can spend your time doing, or you are spending your time making money. And with that opposition to Neptune in that 12th house being ruled by your 12th house, or being the ruler of your 12th house, that's going to be, being more connected at this time to the collective needs and compassion. You may find that you can't do everything. You can't do all the service work you want to do or the community service work you want to do. Or you may find yourself doing more work that is free, that is like helping the homeless or doing some volunteering or doing some other type of work that is more about a spiritual mission at this time. So if that's the case, it's about finding those right connections and making them in a new cycle of meeting those people who are in alignment with you for your spiritual mission. So that is what I see for Aries, Sun, Moon, Rising. Leave me a comment below if that felt accurate. And moving on now to Taurus. For Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising, this is happening in your 6th house of daily work, routines, habits, health. And so this is a new beginning of possibly making partnerships or trying to find more balance and harmony when it comes to your routine, how you spend your time, how you spend your health. In other words, like what you do every day to take care of your body or your health, what you're eating all the time. And that new moon in Libra can bring balance through something that to me, for Taurus and Taurus rising and moon and sun, I feel like you guys are maybe doing something that just allows your everyday schedule or your everyday focus on your health and stuff to be easier. I really feel this sense of ease for you guys. And with Jupiter in that 12th house, that's going to be, the house of our isolation, of our quiet time, the time we spend away from things, making that opposition. It's almost like, You might be starting a new cycle where you either spend more time alone, you have more time to meditate, your faith, the meaning of life, or even, other people that you're really intimate with. There's some kind of connection here and ability maybe to spend more time with them, or a desire to spend more time with them that you're like, now I got to make time for more intimacy. This can be with a partner, but it can also be for single Tauruses with a close friend, or something else that, intimacy isn't always that one-on-one experience. Sometimes it's other things. And it can be other aspects of that eighth house, such as other people's money, or, in some cases, the topic of death could be coming up here. Now, for some Taurus rising, it's like facing the fear of death, or it can also be even a more positive spin on it, where like you're doing meditations that have you visualize your death, and it's really about living life, right? It's not really about dying. It's about how are you living? So for some Taurus and Taurus risings and moons, that can be it. And then we're going to look to see Venus here in your 5th house opposite Neptune in your 11th house, Venus being the ruler of your 6th house and your 1st house of you. So this is all about a time where some Taurus and Taurus risings, you might be flirting more. You might be enjoying life more. You might be just having more fun with Venus there. You might be having really good dates or really good experiences, or going out with friends and watching movies, or doing things that are like Neptune and Pisces, like, for some, like group experiences that take you to another realm. Okay. So this could be like group hypnotherapy. This could be doing raves or, using some mind altering substances in a group setting that is very happy, makes you very happy. It feels positive though for Taurus and Taurus rising. I'm not saying if you're like a sober person to go out and do that. I am saying that, for you guys, you just may have themes that really have to do with pleasure, having fun with your friends. And this can also be, because Venus rules that 6th house of daily activities and work, you might be working on projects with friends to work toward your hopes and dreams as well. That's another way this can show up. So that is what I have for Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Let me know in a comment below if it resonated. I always like hearing from you. For Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising, the new moon is happening in your 5th house of pleasure, creativity, children, and dating and enjoying life. So it is opposite Jupiter in that 11th house of friends, friends, hopes, and dreams. And if you have an audience, it's your audience, connections with other people. This is a very, very social new moon for Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising, because, that 5th house is fun. It's pleasure. So new beginning in terms of our fun. Now, for some, this will be a new beginning, taking your kids to their sports. And for others, it'll be a new beginning of a dating relationship or a fun phase within a relationship that's already there. For even others, it could be a new beginning in your self-expression, how you express yourself. You might be putting yourself out there, sharing who you are collectively a little bit more on some level. And because Jupiter rules your 7th house, it's stronger for relationships for you. So it is a time where I would think that for Gemini and Gemini rising and moon, that you guys would be focusing on other people, focusing on meeting people, getting out there. If you're single, getting out there and just talking to people. If you're coupled, still going on dates, having fun, really enjoying life with your partner. Then with Venus in that 4th house, Venus being the ruler of your 5th house of pleasure and your 12th house of isolation, self-sabotage, and getting away from it all. We have this opposition here from the 4th to the 10th house. So there might be some pressure, some tension between confusion around what you want to do with your next steps in your career or your home. There could be some tension around work-life balance going on, where you would just rather have more fun right now than actually do work. That's what it feels like for Gemini and Gemini rising. Even though with Mars in your 1st house, you're probably busier at this time, some of that can be from social things. With Venus opposite Neptune on that 10th and 4th house axis, I would say watch out for any really good, huge promises about work or money right now, because you want to make sure those are really true true if you believe them, right? So if it seems too good to be true, an opportunity with work or money, I'm not saying don't do it, but maybe check the fine print, check the details, make sure that it's what you think it's going to be, because there's a potential to, for you to kind of blow it up in your own mind and be like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. And then later realize, not so much. Although it does feel like a very, very fun new moon for you guys, with Jupiter in that 11th house of, getting out there, now for some Gemini rising, you just may be speaking more or showing up more in your job in a capacity that puts you around groups of people more. So it may not be like the most fun thing ever for those doing that, but there is a feeling of being active and being engaged with life and being engaged with others and having a very active social life at this time. So that is what I have for Gemini rising, and Gemini moon. Let me know in a comment below if that resonated. Moving on now to Cancer. Cancer, sun, moon, and rising. We have this happening in your 4th house of home. So a new beginning in the 4th house sometimes is going to be, or a new moon is going to be a new beginning in terms of your home life, your actual physical home, whether you have roommates or not, if you move, where you live, or how you decorate your home, with it being in Libra, with it being ruled by Venus, the decorations, the appearance, the look of your home, that could all be coming under play. You could start having parties at your house. Or for those who that doesn't resonate, sometimes it's a new beginning for your parents or your family of origin, and other times it's a new beginning related to your own level of emotional security. So with the sun and moon opposite Jupiter in this lunation, there's opportunities to make connections that make you feel more emotionally secure. This is a time to really consider the people you meet. How do you feel around them? Do they make you feel calm and centered? Do they make you feel scattered? It's a good time. If you're wanting to meet more people or change your friend group, this is a good new moon to do it under. Also, to possibly, you may just feel more connected to how you feel at this time. This might be a transit where you're learning how to manage or regulate your nervous system, if that's something you're interested in. Or just, again, focusing on beautifying your home, upgrading your furniture, stuff like that. For some some Cancers, you guys might actually also be doing real estate. Okay, for some who that applies, real estate might be a new beginning, buying something new, or a new beginning starting something related to real estate, whether that is anything under that field, anything under that umbrella. So that could be your family moves and you help them buy their new house, or you help them move in or something. Or it could also be you looking to invest or whatever. But not every Cancer is going to have that part be accurate. That's only for those who real estate is a topic of interest in your life at this time. So then we're going to go to Venus. I want to talk about this opposition to Jupiter for you guys, Cancers. This is going to be opportunities, professional opportunities, really good time to work your way up the corporate ladder, work your way up the ladder of success, whatever success means to you. Making those connections, really connecting with people who have similar values, or you can help each other. Reciprocal connections are highlighted here. And then with Venus opposite Neptune from your 3rd and 9th houses, you might be confused or feeling like you can't really tell if your life has meaning at this time, as Neptune has been transiting that 9th house for a long time. It kind of puts a fog on, like, what is the meaning of life? And on one hand, this can be very beautiful transit this is a long-term transit for you guys. But that Neptune there can really spiritualize your belief systems and bring a lot of compassion and love and healing and faith. Venus opposite that Neptune could bring some kind of romantic, honeymoon type experience related to communicating what you know. So this could be like you meet a guru or a mentor, someone who almost like you're starstruck around, or you find a new mentor, you find a new teaching that's like the perfect teaching. It's like the perfect class, and everything flows and feels beautiful. So the advice here, though, is if that is the case, Don't expect it to last forever, and let it be okay when that experience ends. Enjoy it for what it is. Don't make it more than what it really is. For those who that does not apply, there's still probably a focus here during this new moon of communicating what you know, and maybe possibly feeling not sure about what you know and what aspects of what you know to try to communicate. You might be figuring out how to speak about what you know, how to share what you know. You might actually be working on making your own communication sweeter, trying to speak in a more way that is just better or sweeter or softer or more pleasing to the people around you. Some of you, this may just be a natural thing that's already happening that you're not trying to do. It just is. And yeah, I do think that there will be some kind of focus on how you use your voice, how you speak up, how you use your words, what words you're using, how to make them more nicer. Now, this can show up in many different ways, but that is what I feel for you guys. And with Venus ruling your 4th house and your 11th house of hopes and dreams, it does feel like a time where you are going to be more focused on, what the ideal is that you want in your life and what really is the most meaningful. And you might not be as focused on exactly what to do about it yet. You might be trying to figure that out, but there is a connection here to, like, it's almost like, when you meet someone and they're like living out the life you've always wanted, but you didn't know that until the moment where you met them. And they're like, this is what I do for a living. And you're like, that's what I want to do. But you didn't know that until that experience. There might be some kind of high level spiritual experience or experience with your goals in life that gives you that ideal to be in touch with. It's not going to give you the whole path to get there. It may not even be the path you end up taking, but it's a moment. It's an experience. That's what I feel for you guys. So let me know, Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising, how that resonated. And we're going to move on now to Leo. For Leo, Sun, Moon, and Rising, this is happening in your 3rd house of communication, siblings, short trips, and lower education. In other words, like elementary school. It's also can be like your cousins, aunts, and uncles as well. So it's a new beginning in this area of life, probably most likely for Leo is your communication. How you communicate what you know. With Jupiter transiting your 9th house, there is much more of a desire at this time to be putting what you like, using your beliefs in your hopes and dreams and goals, like maybe communicating your beliefs to your friends or focusing on how your beliefs are different or your conflicting beliefs. So like for Leos who have, like if you had a business, this would be a time where you're like figuring out how what you believe is different than all the other people who do what you do and how to like stand out by being more aggressive. But for other Leos who that doesn't apply to, this is going to be, that Jupiter in the 9th might be kicking up your desire to travel, to understand more about the meaning of life, to study more. Some Leos and Leo risings will just start a new course of study during this time, but it's probably a short-term study rather than a long-term study. So this would probably not be a PhD. This would probably be more like a little course here, a little course there, something that is shorter and sweeter and more to the point. Although studying, teaching, and learning does come under this new moon for you guys, especially with Jupiter in that 9th house of philosophy and teaching and learning and understanding the reason why things are the way they are. And so then it's also a good time. You may just like meet a new mentor or find someone who's teaching the exact thing you want to learn, something like that. Also, there's positive potential with making connections with people who are teaching subjects you want to learn more about in any kind of way, or, featuring someone who knows something to your audience or something like that. With Venus in the 2nd house here, this is a time where there's more focus on what you want to receive financially. You might be put in more touch with that. Some of you could be making more money. And with Neptune opposite, there might be some confusion around your money versus other people's money. There can also be, this can put you in touch with the ideal of how much money you want to be making. Some Leo or Leo risings at this time are going to be like inspired to create more passive income, for example. Especially if it relates to money from like royalties or money from like what do I want to say? Like investments and stuff like that. what else do I see for Leos? We have Venus rules your third house and your 10th house. So being in the second house, it's like a lot of focus on what you're saying to make money. Some of you could be interviewing for jobs and it's like you got to say the right things so they hire you. Others are maybe planning or thinking about how to increase your income. Some of you might have gotten a boost in your income and then you're like, okay, let's enjoy this. And then is it going to be more? Is there going to be more? Are we going to get more? So that can be how that plays out too. And, with that 8th ruler in the 8th opposing that 3rd ruler in the 2nd, your 3rd and 10th ruler, it really puts a lot of focus on what do I do every day? What is my role? How do I make money? And for some, that 8th house is also going to be about the intimacy and really if you're coupled, how is our money working together? What are we doing? And what am I doing versus what are you doing? If you're not coupled, perhaps other experiences that bring you into a more intimate level with your own self, getting out of the comfort zone versus staying the same. That's another focus for Leos and Leo risings during this new moon is a new beginning to communication, but a possible need to make adjustments or seeing the obstacles for yourself when it comes to areas where financially, especially with finances and work, you have been in a comfort zone or in a rut where you're doing the same thing. And where do you need to dissolve those edges, dissolve those boundaries and break them down and let yourself be open to some kind of new change, new way of doing things that is different than what you've done before. But when you're thinking this through, it might feel a little bit foggy because we got Neptune in that 8th house. So it's not going to be a thing where you're like, I know exactly what to do. It'll be like, I have no idea what to do. Let's just do it. So that feels pretty strong here for Leos and Leo risings. But either way, it's a new beginning to your communication, reassessing how you communicate your value, and possibly if the people around you are reflecting that value back to you. So let me know, Leos and Leo risings, if that makes sense, if it resonates. I love hearing from you. And we're going to move on now to Virgos. For Virgos and Virgo risings, this is happening in your 2nd house of money. So this is a new beginning, bringing balance and harmony to your money house. And with Jupiter opposite, this can bring into focus things like debt, things like taxes, things like inheritance. It can also bring in, if you are coupled, your partner's money, what you get from them versus what you get from your own self. And Jupiter being the ruler of your 4th house of home, this is going to be possibly also like interest you owe on buying a house, or whether you have enough to move, or saving for a move, things that deal with money and moving and home, things that connect those two areas of life. And also, this new moon in Libra for you is again going to be about it's like a new beginning where it's like, okay, now I want to make more money. How do I do it? For some, you'll want to start making more money teaching. That could be coming under focus at this time. And then, there's also a potential for meeting people or networking or socializing that somehow has to do with that 2nd and 8th house. So for some, this might be socializing around the topic of money, like going to a meetup group about how to manage your finances, or, a cash flow meetup or something. For others, this might be doing something else, like that new beginning to your 2nd house of your own possessions, what you have, what you own, versus Jupiter opposing that in the 8th house of what you owe other people, what other people are sharing with you, what you have to rely on others for. So it's possible you could go into something financially with someone at this time. You can meet someone that you want to start a business with. You can meet someone that you want to start a relationship, and you help each other, in work and then get ideas and take action. With Mars in that 10th house, this is a time of pushing new ideas or taking more action in your work, being busier with work. So I wouldn't be surprised if this has to do with either someone loaning you money or getting out of debt, or, pooling your resources with someone, getting a roommate, other things like that where, 2 is better than 1 kind of a thing. Any situation where like 2 heads are better than 1 and it has to do with your finances. Some of you might be coming out of your comfort zone and really, learning when to share, when to not share, if that makes sense. So you have to apply that to your personal situation. Now, with Venus in Virgo, one way this transit does tend to affect us, Venus transiting that first house, you might be looking your best at this time. And we are coming to the end of this. So you may notice that through September, you have been looking better than usual. Venus will do that. But Venus in that first house opposite Neptune, the ruler of your seventh house in that seventh house, could possibly bring an encounter with a new person or an experience, a romantic experience. This could go one way or the other, where you have a positive first impression of someone, or you meet someone and they're amazing. But with Venus opposite Neptune, you'll need to see if that is really who they are over time. Now, other things that can happen, I feel like for some Virgo and Virgo risings, there could be some kind of split or some kind of, this could even be for some of you a realization that a person you had a crush on or a person you were with is not who you thought they were. And now it's time to go your own way and focus more on your own values. That's one way this could look. Other Virgo and Virgo risings, you could be purposely upgrading your appearance at this time. So you could actually do things to look better. You could be trying to look more beautiful or more handsome in any shape or form, but really it's more about the looks, less about the physical things. So it's less about I'm going to go lose a bunch of weight, more about I'm going to put on this new hair color or get this new hair dye or other things where you just look better. I mean, appearance is in focus here. With Venus, Neptune too, when we think of appearance, it's glamour, right? So it's like some of y'all might be catfishing somebody right now. I'm not judging you, but that's kind of what I think of when I think of Venus, Neptune. It's like you put a projection out to the world. It's what we project on a screen, but it's not who we really are. But with Venus in Virgo, you're looking your best. You might want to take pictures, or get a photo shoot or do other things that are appearance related at this time. That's another way that could show up. But, overall for Virgo and Virgo rising, new beginnings in money, new beginnings in bringing more balance to your finances, and that there can be some kind of sharing that goes on here that wasn't happening before. There might be new opportunities with new people to, merge your resources in a way that really works out well for everyone. So moving on now to the next sign, which is Libra. For Libra and Libra rising, this is happening in your first house of you. So it's a new beginning in your sign, which means it's a more powerful new moon always for you at this time of the year. So new beginnings in life direction, new beginnings that are more likely to be big things like moving or changing your appearance or dating a new person or working on your own mindset, right? Because the first house rules these major life things. It's like us. It's like who we are in our physical body and where we are. So you can have changes and new beginnings in any of those areas and bringing balance to who you are as well, being a Libra. Now, you have that new moon opposite Jupiter in your seventh house of relationships. So you can meet new people who change your identity. You could meet new people in alignment with a new identity you've been wanting to create. You can meet new people who are potential partners or potential friends, or you could already have friends or partners that there's a focus on connecting together, and somehow the connection with other people is supporting you in moving forward on your life in the way you want to move it. So really good time to make sure you're around the right people, first of all, but also work with them and share with them and have fun with them as well. So some of you too could meet new teachers with Jupiter there in that seventh house. This is like a teacher or a mentor possibly. That's another possibility, especially, if there's anything legal going on right now. That's not going to apply to everyone. But if there's anything legal going on right now, there's the potential you could meet someone that is going to teach you how to go through it. Or if you need that kind of support, I would say this would be, Jupiter might help make that a little bit better while it's still in that seventh house. So let's look at the ruler of this new moon, which is Venus in your 12th house of isolation, spiritual practice, making this opposition to Neptune in your 6th house. Libras, you might be feeling a little bit confused about your next steps in terms of your routine. You might be bringing a spiritual practice into your routine. This is probably the strongest thing I feel here, where it's like what you do every day. Are you bringing compassion into it? Are you practicing Buddhism? Are you taking time out to really, center and consider having peace for all beings? Venus in that 12th house brings a loveliness to the imagination and to the spiritual practice. So this is a really good time. If you're someone who likes to meditate, great time to do it, Libras, because, Venus makes that 12th house better. And, with conjunct the ruler of your 12th house in the 12th house, it's a very 12th house time, which means that, yes, it's a time for a new beginning, but maybe that new beginning is going to feature things that relate to the subconscious mind, things that relate to your own self-sabotage and trying to overcome that. And some Libras and Libra risings might be seeing tendencies to check out on a daily basis and wanting to work through those things and revise that and really look at how do I spend my time and how much of this time is just scrolling on my phone, right? With Neptune in that 6, or, just eating to fill the space or watching TV to fill the space between one thing and another instead of doing something intentional. Some Libras and Libra risings may be focusing more on being more intentional with their time, especially with their quiet time, their time away. For some of you, you are getting time away at this time, and that's what that is. Especially with Mars in that 9th, really kind of inspiring you to probably want to travel a little bit more at this time, or, do things that are meaningful. And that Mercury rules your house of meaning. So it's like, what do you do when you're by yourself that is meaningful to you? How can you bring more meaning to it? How can you make it more beautiful? Some Libra and Libra risings at the time of this new moon may have some nice, really positive spiritual experience or lovely romantic experience that, brings good vibes and compassion, uplifts you a bit, and helps you feel like, okay, life is more meaningful. For others, you might actually be seeing, okay, I have all these habits that are getting in the way of my quiet time or my spiritual practice or my ability to feel connected to all things. And this might be a time where you're reworking your plans for your daily schedule, or really putting a lot of thought into how do I have more meaning in my life, and how do I really spend my time? How am I wasting time? And it might just put you in touch with the desire to change that, and maybe even restrict some of your pleasure-seeking activities, whatever that may be. So that is what I have for Libras. Let me know in a comment below if it resonated. And we're going to move on now to the next sign, which is Scorpio. For Scorpio and Scorpio risings, this is happening in your 12th house of isolation. So a new moon in the 12th house is a new beginning in 12th house stuff. This can be your spiritual practice. This can be a time where the amount of time you get to yourself, the amount of time you spend alone changes, where maybe you didn't get it before, now you do, or the other way around, where this is a new cycle where you're so busy that 12th house is a little more neglected, or it's like a time, especially with Jupiter in that 6, what I feel for most of you Scorpio risings is that this will be a time where maybe you are busy, but you're putting your spiritual practice into applying that to your daily life, applying the principles of like being a good human, whatever you believe in, to what you do every day. Now with, Jupiter being the ruler of your 2nd house of money, that puts it more about finances. Now, for some of you, it's like you're working more because you need more money, simply, very simple explanation there. And now you have less quiet time. For others, it might be doing more work, and it's not necessarily giving you the money at the moment, because your 2nd ruler in the 6th house, usually, especially when it's Jupiter, you have more to do to make money, but you don't necessarily get more outcome. So it's almost like you just have to work more overtime and you're on salary and you don't get anything more. It's just a time where you do more. Now, there is potential to cash in on that down the road in your life. It's in terms of the transits of your whole life theme. But for now, for Scorpios, this is a time where I would expect you guys to be busier. And I would expect the focus, of like time to be really, really high during this time, like what you spend your time on, how much time you have, etc. Now, Venus ruling this new moon is in your 11th house opposite Neptune in your 5th house. So Venus and Neptune really bringing a focus on pleasure, on friends, on doing things that are enjoyable with your friends. Some of you may be doing things that are 11th house in your work. So this could be speaking in front of people. This could be doing art for groups of people. This could be dealing with groups in any way, shape, or form, whether it be in person or online or doing chat groups or whatever. And for others, this is just the time where you're watching more movies or you're doing more things that are fun. And, possibly that 12th house new beginning is about pleasure and really finding ways to enjoy yourself. Now, for some of you, because Neptune is in that 5th house and Venus Neptune opposite really does, the textbook definition here is like an amazing first date that we don't know if it's going to last. We don't know. We can't trust that the way we feel in this moment will last. I think for Scorpios, I would say it would be advisable if you are having some really wonderful, beautiful new beginnings, or you meet someone that you've been flirting with or something like that, to enjoy the moment, yes, and make sure it is real. Really make sure that you can tell the difference between the real and the ideal. And because Venus in that 11th house is the ruler of your 7th house, for single Scorpios, this is a time you could meet friends, right? Meet friends, meet new lovers, make new relationships in group settings. So if you're wanting to find a partner, that would be a good way to go about it at this time. And, the worst case scenario here would be like, for some Scorpios and Scorpio risings, maybe you already have been getting to know someone and this is the time during this new beginning where maybe you realize they are not totally who you thought they were. So that is a potential. I'm just throwing that out there. That's not going to be true for everyone, but it might be the case. Either way, new beginnings with your spiritual practice, and possibly even working through some things with your subconscious mind. That's something I did not mention earlier, but can take place when you have a new moon in your 12th house. So we're going to move on now to the next sign, which is Sag. So for Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising, this is happening in your 11th house of friends, hopes, and dreams. So it's a new beginning with new friends, new beginning with hopes and dreams. I feel this is a very strong social transit for Sag, sun, moon, and rising, because Jupiter opposite that sun and moon already kind of represents social life. Venus being connected also represents social stuff. And, the new moon is in your 11th house and 10th house, both the houses that are quite public. So if you have not been public and you've wanted to be public, this can be a time where you go public in some way. You become more visible. You are seen more. With Jupiter in that 5th house opposing the sun and moon during this lunation, there could also be some new beginnings coming from your own creative passion, your own self-expression. You can meet someone who brings luck to your life, who is like a partner that you flirt with. You might have fun flirting at this time. It's a great time to flirt, Sag. If you're not already, some of you are already. And you may also find that you're just happier at this time. With Jupiter in that 5th house of pleasure, making it better. It makes flirting and fun better. So there's that. So then we're going to look here at Venus ruling your, Venus in your 10th house opposing Neptune in your 4th house. Venus in the 10th can also be, this can be a time where you're focused more on money. And Venus does, for you guys, rules your 11th house and your 6th house. So for some, it's about doing more work. And with this Venus Neptune opposition in your 10th and 4th house axis, this will bring up the topic of, what you do publicly versus what you do privately. And that might be under play for some reason. And it's like what you enjoy in public versus what you enjoy in private. I don't know why that's on the radar for you guys, but I think it is. And that 6th house ruler in that 10th house makes me feel like this could be a time where you become known for some work you've done before. Especially, and I'm even going to go back for you guys on that to see when Venus was in Taurus. Okay, Sag, it's possible you could be getting the fruits of some kind of labor you started back in April of 2021, or that you could be becoming more visible for that type of work. If that's the case, this feels very positive. But with Venus opposite Neptune, it's almost like an experience where you can have the high from the experience, and then you don't know if it's going to last. So it's almost like, I don't know. It's almost like when someone gets famous and then it's like the initial feeling is like, oh my God. And I'll give my own example. This would be like me having a video go viral and I'm like, oh my God, I had a viral video, and think it's the most amazing thing in the world. But there will come a moment where either that video stops going viral, or it will end. It will end. So this is a kind of experience you could be having on a smaller level, possibly Sagittarius, where something you put in the work for back in April 2021 could be giving you some blessings or getting you noticed in your career at this time. But it's like, don't drink the Kool-Aid, or don't get too hyped up about the high of it. Enjoy the experience, but know that it will, what goes up must come down. So it'll be a good time to stay grounded. If you're getting a lot of attention, or you're getting a lot of, it's almost like a possible dream could be coming true with career, but there'll be a need to make sure that it might be temporary. So, don't be super upset about that if it's not, the rest of your life. It's almost like, then you still have to get up the next day and do the work again. So not losing sight of that will be important if those things seem to apply to you at this time. Also, with Neptune in that 4th house, there could be some focus on beautifying the home with Venus opposite Neptune, 10th, 4th house axis, or again, work-life balance. Trying to have peace of mind while having all good things come to you in career and being more career focused. That can also be happening. And, with Mercury up here at the top of your chart conjunct Venus in that opposition, Mercury ruling your 7th house of relationships. And then, even Venus ruling your 11th house of hopes and dreams, 6th house of work. It's like, you might have a work partnership come, or like something with meeting someone at work, or meeting someone you work with, having a crush on someone you work with, or they have a crush on you. This does not necessarily mean it's going to be positive. I'm sorry, Sagittarius, but Mars is in your 7th house. So the best possible thing is like they're super hot and you like them. The worst possible thing is like a stalker has a crush on you. Someone has a crush on you. You don't want to have a crush on you at work, and you have to like get them off of you or get them away from you. Or someone at work is projecting an image that is not real, and you need to be able to have the boundaries where they're coming across like they're so innocent and sweet and helpful, but they're not. They're trying to get something from you or take something from you. So just be more aware of the connections you have. It's not a reason to be paranoid, but just be aware that the connections you have, make sure you know the people's motives. And with everyone for this transit, with love, it's like, or work for you guys, hopes and dreams, a dream coming true. Even if the dream comes true, just try not to like get too, with Neptune, we can romanticize it so much that we're not in reality anymore. So enjoy the dream coming true and keep your feet on the ground. That's my advice for you, Sag. Either way, new beginnings in that 11th house feels super positive, with new beginnings to your hopes and dreams, especially with, Jupiter being opposite, more opportunities, lots of opportunities, great time for networking, great time for meeting people, and really this is a very career focused time. So definitely would see you focusing on moving the ball forward in your life. So moving on now to the next sign, which is Capricorn. For Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising, this is happening in your 10th house of career. So it's all about, new beginnings, new jobs, new promotions, new cycles in career. And with that Jupiter opposition, this would be for you guys, maybe having struggles with work-life balance. It's possible. It's possible that it's like, oh, I need to be in both places at once, and you can't do it all. There's also a possibility with Jupiter being the ruler of your 12th house that this brings in topics of learning, philosophy, self-sabotage, psychology or, like the nervous system, how we feel. And it's like blending psychology and how we feel in the moment. That topic could be coming up in the work that you do. If that does not apply to you, then I would say this is a new beginning around spending like a new role in work that might demand more of your time, or the other way where you have a new role in work that frees you up. You have more balance in work and now you can spend more time at home meditating or doing other things privately that you maybe didn't have before. But there's still a social aspect here. So either way, even if you're being more private, there's still something about connecting with other people that will be important at this time. With Venus in the 9th house, opposite Neptune in that 3rd house, this will bring under focus communicating what you know, and you may be focusing more on learning things than talking about them. You may find you're not clear on what you think, and you might divert to what someone else thinks more often. You might be revising or going back over something someone said to you or someone taught you at some time, trying to make sure it's accurate, going over something you learned, whether that be higher education, whether that be rereading an astrology book, whether that be, something else. Like maybe with Neptune in that 3rd, though, it makes me feel like there is something about your day-to-day communication that is unclear or having trouble, and you want to learn so you can like have the facts to back yourself up so that you can cut through the confusion. This could be happening at work, but it could be happening anywhere. And what else do I see for you guys? Yeah, it does feel like a really strong work transit for you with Mars in that 6th, where you're busy. You're busy. You might be busy connecting with people, busy meeting new people, busy learning, busy joining new classes or courses, or dealing with things, legal matters, or maybe even trying to travel or meeting foreigners. Some of you could be meeting foreigners at work, having new connections, doing some things related to travel. Really, really busy transit. Lots of positive potential with your work life here, your role in life. And, with Jupiter ruling that 12th house, though, it brings in something about, maybe how you self-sabotaged, maybe the things you don't see, maybe certain things are coming to light and realizing things that help you realizing things, especially with Venus in that 9th house, realizing things that are like, epiphany moments can be happening as well. Realizing spiritual truths that aren't true that you thought were true, things like this. So Capricorn and Capricorn risings, you guys let me know in a comment below if this resonated. And moving on now to Aquarius. For Aquarius and Aquarius rising, this is happening in your 9th house of the meaning of life. So it's all about, what brings your life meaning. Sometimes the 9th house new moons do not necessarily make our lives more meaningful, but they have us asking the question, what does it all mean? And so that being opposite Jupiter in your 3rd house brings a focus on what you know versus how you communicate what you know. And for some Aquarius and Aquarius risings, you might be starting to teach what you know. You might be taking more courses to learn more. You might be meeting people who you can talk to about the things you know together. And with Jupiter being the ruler of your 11th house, this is a stronger, theme of like doing courses, doing classes, making connections, groups of people who think like you think or talk about what you want to talk about, and joining up with them or listening to them or talking to them. Then you also have, but there's still a possible new beginning for other things related to the 9th house for Aquarius. So that could be new beginnings with things related to the law, travel, foreigners, philosophy, the meaning of life, astrology, really understanding what it all means, learning like different belief systems, faith, strong transit for learning faith or getting more into a belief system. Definitely strong for that. And then with Venus opposing Neptune from your 8th and 2nd houses, there's also a focus here on money and maybe a lack of clarity on money of who's paying for what. There could also be, with Venus ruling your 9th house in that 8th house, finding meaningful connections with people, getting more intimate with someone, and that brings a lot of meaning into your life. or finding ways to make money that don't require you working for it and feeling good about that and that being meaningful to you. Spiritualizing your money, bringing a spiritual practice into your money, mixing those things together. This could also be, it can also be a strong transit too for like astrology, divination, especially things that blend astrology with the other side. So it's like using astrology or using the tarot to connect with the other side. Venus in the 8th can also just be really lovely for, again, intimate connections with people. What else do I see here for you? Venus does rule your 4th house. So that ruler of home in your 8th house of intimacy, again, brings, for some of you, you know, your private life and public life are going to be totally different right now, or there's something going on behind the scenes that people don't know about. That's enjoyable probably, and possibly confusing. Topics related to money and home might be coming up. You know, selling, buying, renting, interest, things like that. And you might be reassessing that or revising that at this time. And with Mercury ruling that 5th house, you know, there is potential here for looking at your habits, maybe having habits that you see are self-sabotaging in some way. That is a possibility. Either way, it's the time to really kind of get spiritual, you know. Aquarius and Aquarius rising, this is a transit to really, that new beginning in Libra, bring balance to your spirituality, bring balance to really bring your spirituality into your daily life. That's what I feel for Aquarius. So let me know in a comment below if that resonates. And we're going to move on now to the sign of Pisces. For Pisces, sun, moon, and rising, this new moon is happening in your 8th house of sex, death, and other people's money. So it's a new beginning to possibly, you know, an intimate connection, a new beginning to your own sexuality, a new layer of that, uncovering it. It could be a new beginning to getting out of your comfort zone, because that second 8th house axis is all about, you know, our comfort zone versus expanding beyond that comfort zone. So Jupiter in the second will bring more good things. For other ways this can show up. This can be a positive money transit, but it's like almost only if you share, only if you're working with others. This can be a time where you start a new partnership, a new venture, a new business venture that deals with someone else. You take out a loan, you start paying off debt, anything like that. Lots of potential for new good things happening if you are focusing on like how to bring balance to your finances, whether who's paying for what, just how to balance that out a bit more from where it was. So again, paying off debt, taking out a loan, really paying on something and then you own it. Those kind of things can show up here. Another thing here is like with Venus opposite Neptune, Venus in your 7th, Neptune in your 1st. Venus and Virgo here can bring a new, like, there can be focus on love at this time. There can be focus on new intimacy. There can be focus on new connection. And with Venus ruling your 8th house and your 3rd house, there can also be a focus here on talking to a lover or having deeper communications with people, connecting more deeply, really going into a more trust, creating more trust, or having situations where you get closer to people and there's conversations happening about it. That can be conversations about someone you have a crush on. It can be conversations to them. It can be you are in a relationship and you're talking more to your lover. You need to reassess how you guys are doing the finances, or other things like that. Also, with Jupiter ruling your 10th house, this can be about work as well. So for some Pisces rising, especially if you do like healing work or work with tarot or the other side or mediumship or Reiki or anything, there can be a new beginning in that for you guys as well. So that's really positive for all of you doing energy work and stuff, where maybe you can start charging now for Reiki, or maybe you start taking sessions by donation and working with one-on-one clients. This is a strong positive transit for that as well. And with Mercury here, Mercury ruling that 7th house, Venus again ruling your 3rd house, it's about reevaluating maybe how you communicate with clients or how you communicate with people you work with. For those who are not working one-on-one with clients, reevaluating the way that you communicate with people one-on-one at work, reevaluating your marketing, feeling, and also, with Neptune in that first house, it's bringing you spiritual realizations, but there's a confusing aspect to it where it kind of dissolves the barriers between you and other people. So there may be a need to kind of cut through that fog and figure out what is really going on in these communications. How can I communicate better to, further this 8th house, aka either make more money or, get closer to people, get more intimate with people. For people who already work with people one-on-one, it's like, maybe how do I do a package? How do I sell a package? How do I get people who are working with me? How do I work with them on a closer level? For others, it's like at work, whatever you do, getting closer to people in that capacity. So those are all the things I see. And then, with Mars in that 4th house as well, though, it's like there's still a really strong energy, a really strong pull for Pisces and Pisces rising, even if this stuff is related to work, to really focus on like your own emotional wellness, your own emotional state, and how you're feeling and how you're doing. And that, like, any work kind of stuff Pisces and Pisces rising do, it's almost like with this new moon, with all the aspects, you may not want to put work above your own emotional security. So making sure that what you're doing is in alignment with the emotions and that it doesn't stretch you so far that it causes stress. So that's what I have for Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Let me know in a comment below if it resonates. And that's what I have here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you all in the next one. Also, don't forget to join my membership where we are doing membership stuff. For anyone who has not heard, there is now a membership associated with this channel. So you can become a member. You can get 1 extra video a month, or 1 extra video and 1 extra live with me, where we're teaching astrology. The first video is the houses. And we'll be going into other astrology related topics. So if you've been wanting to learn astrology from me, this is the place to do it. I hope to see you in there. And to get more information, you just go from this channel and you click the button that says join, and it will give you the options. And so I hope to see you guys in there. It'll be a ton of fun, and I will see you all in the next video.